call the meeting to order. Welcome to everyone, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Could our students lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as published.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes, and we get to move straight into this fun part of welcoming our Sandpoint High School students, representatives. I don't see Principal Jack Crossingham, but yes.
Just Principal Crossingham is now going to have a grandchild today.
She just had.
She just
15 minutes ago.
15 minutes, so she's a grandma.
And I'm waiting for a name. I don't have a name for everybody yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
You gotta watch out for those
So we
10,
welcome.
The activities and athletic director, TJ
Yes.
Clary, is here.
And assistant principal. So, so I'm here to represent for Sandpoint High School. So thank you very much. Yeah, we have some wonderful things. We have our students here. They're going to share some awesome things with us. So, yeah, Sandpoint High School is off the hook with amazing things going on. If we want to hit the next slide, I'm going to talk about just a few things. But first, we're going to have Ms. Sherilyn come up and talk about our National Merit Scholarship.
We should have gotten your senior photos. Sorry about that, you guys. So Sandpoint High School is really proud that we had 2 students who made it all the way through commended status through the National Merit Program. There are only 34,000 students in the whole United States who come to commended status. So we'd like to recognize Anna Woodward and Tristan Hunch. But he's at a soccer game because they are prepping hard for districts.
Yes.
So he's with the soccer team. So Anna, will you come up, please? And just because I had to do a little recon, did a little recon on some teachers, and Tristan got the comment that so dedicated and driven both on and off the field. And when I did a little recon on you, your comment was, I'd like to have her as my own daughter. So I just thought that was so heartwarming. So congratulations.
Yay.
She gets to stay with us because we're going to keep going for one more minute.
Just take a
Slap.
picture.
Good. And then we had a student make it to semifinalist, which is 16,000. And that would miss Mr. Keen Hazley. So please and as I was doing a little recon on him, I happened to have the opportunity to read one of his essays. And his goal is to be a neurosurgeon. And I visited with him and said, you know what, when I'm old and have dementia and all sorts of things, because a student told me I was like an old desk at Sandpoint High School today. Just saying. But anyway, I said, I want you to be my neurosurgeon. So we are so proud of you and congratulations. Thank you. Come on, smile here.
And scooch out of the.
Oh,
yeah,
get out of the way.
because the light.
There we go.
Come on. Get close, get close.
There we go. Thank you.
Congratulations. Both of you.
All right. CTE is a very popular area of focus when it comes to education these days, and we just wanted to share out that we have a total of 9 occupational areas. We have 10 instructors at Sandpoint High School this year, and part of our graduation requirements is that they take 2 credits in the area of CTE in order to graduate, which is kind of a great idea. And then we have over 2,000 student sections each semester. So right now, basically, we have, depending on how you want to look at it, we have like close to almost 1,100 students, or 1,050, and we have 2,000 credits. So we have almost every student is participating somehow in CTE. So that's a really big deal. So that's really, really huge for Sandpoint. All right, next slide. All right, so our culinary arts program is extremely full right now. That's exciting because students are able to present to each other and be able to assess each other on their culinary arts skills. We have our BPA, our Business Professionals of America. They continue to impress us each year, and they end up qualifying at the national level. Just being on state, that's a big deal, and Melinda is doing a great job with that. And then also through some of the grants written, we have upgraded our lab when it comes to the different printing parts and then the school maps that Malia is working on in our CAD program, with our CAD program. So the 3D design is pretty exciting work happening. And then also with our maps for our safety plans for our school, we have to mention that that is happening right now. So we're working on our exit strategies and things like that. So that's exciting. And I think this last slide for me, and then the students will take over. We have our individual occupational training with our new equipment in the print shop and embroidery, which is just hot off the press, working all the time right now. And then of course our welding program continues to be successful. We purchased, was it 1 or 2 welders? 4 welders we purchased, brand new welders, and then a ventilation system as part of that, 2 of those. Yeah, so that's super exciting. And students are coming out ready to go to get jobs right out of high school in welding, and that is huge in today's industry. So that's exciting. And then I know a lot of you have heard about the residential carpentry. We are making huge momentum when it comes to residential carpentry. We had a group of adults that actually went down to Spirit Lake to look at the different tiny houses and what that might look like. And there is word on the street that we're going to be starting a tiny house in the residential carpentry program. So that's exciting. So we're really excited about that. And with that, I think we are ready to hand it over to Miss Helen Day. Are you ready? All right, get this yours.
Hi, I'm Heaven Day. I'm a sophomore at SHS. I'm currently inside of the A+ certification class as well as taking an IT intern class as well. I'm here to talk about Mr. Gray's classes. He has the Intro to Information Systems class, A+ certification class, and Network Plus class. Inside the intro class, it goes over the generality of everything. He goes over the different components of a computer, what they all do, what all their names are, how they all are incorporated inside of it. He goes over how to write a cover letter, how to write a resume, how to get a job, and then how to keep a job. He goes over all those things inside of that class. Some fun things which we did was we made some Ethernet cables. That was an experience. And then we also made, no we didn't make, we learned how to read binary clocks as well. And then after you take that class, then it leads up to the A+ class. And A+ class, you learn everything to take the A+ certification test, which is a $500 test. If you take the test and you pass it, then you get the certification. The school has it free if you take it and pass it. And if you have that, you get a big step up inside the game when it comes to getting a job inside that field. And then the next step up is the Network Plus class. And inside that one, it's like a $400 test. And when you take it, then if you walk into any place, you basically have a job. But the A+ class goes over everything inside the Intro to Information Systems class and brings it up another level. And then inside the Net Plus class, it goes over all the different wording, all the new things coming into light inside the technology world and all those kind of things. Mr. Gray also talks about different internships that you can do over the summer. I went and did an internship with the school. And I did the internship with the district office, and we work on all the broken Chromebooks, and then we do all the Chromebook management as well. We fix all the projectors, make sure nothing blows up. And then he also has the, there's a internship at the public library. Currently they're installing 4K cameras, and so right now they're trying to figure out a way to shield all the wiring so that way it doesn't interfere with anything else. And so that would be a fun thing to do over the summer as well.
Thank you.
Hello, so I'm a senior here at San Juan High School. This announcements here. I'm Will, and among other things, I'm the current jazz band drummer, as well as co-captain for the academic decathlon team with Keen here, my lovely co-captain. But today, I'm here on behalf of Sierra Post, so let's put on a different hat. And essentially, I kind of want to talk about my experiences with a local program we've been able to do for the past few years with 88.5 KRFI, which is one of the local community-sponsored radio stations. And luckily for me, and for a few students before me, we've been given the opportunity as part of Cedar Post, the school's newspaper, to have an hour each week on their show, and it technically replays again, so technically 2 hours each week on their show to give like a student perspective and things like that. And it's been a really cool opportunity for me as a drummer, being able to kind of musically play a lot of the music I like and express that music is awesome, and it's really cool. But I also think that there's a lot of considerable skills that can be gained through something like this, through Cedar Post. Like my ability to deal with deadlines. I mean, having to get an hour-long show done every single week by Wednesday night, I mean, gets you motivated. Gets you out of bed. Like, oh, I didn't do that. Oh no. And I think hopefully it's coming across right now. My performance ability has gotten a lot better. My ability to talk and ramble, that radio show voice, and that type of thing. It's a lot of personal skills that I think have been really helpful for me. And learning how to edit with Adobe Audition, a audio editing software, has been a real game changer. Like I'll use it every now and then for things outside of Cedar Post. I'm like, man, that's such a cool skill to have. And if I ever decide to go into some form of audio editing, then that's a really cool thing to be able to say I can do. And I think even beyond me specifically and how cool Cedar Post has been for me through the radio show, I think it's worth pointing out how Cedar Post has been available for so many other students. Like I have a really good friend of mine, he's not interested in writing stories, that's not his thing. He's not interested in taking pictures, but he is interested in the video editing part of it. And so Mr. Love has put him to work, editing all the announcements and things like that, and he's learning how to edit, and I think it's a really cool opportunity for him, because now, out of high school, if he wants to go somewhere with that and use that for a job, he can. I think it's Adobe, is it Premiere Pro he's using? Yeah, Premiere Pro, he'll be licensed with that, or not licensed, but he'll have, the ability to use that and take that out into the world, and it's the same for so many other paths. I mean, some people are going to become better writers because of it, some people are going to become better photographers. And I just think that, it's a really cool opportunity that I'm thankful we get to take part in at the high school. And I think a huge part of that is thanks to Mr. Love. So thank you, Mr. Love, for those opportunities you give us. And that's my piece. So,
All right,
thank you.
Very well.
Hi, my name is Haley Benson, and I'm a senior at Sandpoint High School, and I am one of the presidents for Sandpoint HOSA. And for those of you who don't know, Sandpoint HOSA, or HOSA stands for Health Occupation Students of America. And it's a club for those students who are interested in the healthcare field, but don't want to commit themselves to just one practice.
I'm Sarah Bryson. I'm a senior at Sandpoint High School. This will be my third year in varsity softball, and I'm one of the officers of HOSA. And we're a part of the CNA program offered by Sandpoint High School, which stands for Certified Nursing Assistant. It is a double block class, which means we go in for about 3 hours a day, every other day. It's very hands-on. It's like not a normal class. You don't sit at a desk. You're usually up. You're doing a bunch of different skills, vital signs, stuff like that. Starting November 1st, we're actually going to start clinicals, which means we're going into like the hospital or CNICSU or like assisted living homes and using our skills on actual patients and shadowing different doctors and stuff like that to try to figure out maybe what our future path might be. We also run the code team at Sandpoint High School, so it's kind of like a first response system. If someone gets injured or if someone's really sick, we get called on the walkie-talkie. We go down, we check their vital signs, we assess them, see if an ambulance needs called, if they need to go home, like what the next step should be.
And with this program, we get a few certifications, 4 of them being our CNA, which is our Certified Nursing Assistant, BLS, Basic Life Support, and First Aid and CPR, for not only adults, but infants as well.
For CPR this year, we actually got new training dolls. So it measures the depth, how fast you're going, if you're letting the chest recoil. We actually wanted 2 volunteers to help us try it out. Would anybody like to come up and
Happy
try?
birthday, Lonnie. I picked Lonnie. And Tanya. And Jalen came late. Jalen, go.
I thought they picked.
No, I'm afraid they'll pick you.
Have you guys seen the Office episode with the doll, with the CPR? You guys need to watch that
He's
tonight.
ready.
So a few things you need to know is we're going to be about nipple line, so right here.
Okay.
I just put it
Okay.
You're gonna hold it like this.
Okay.
You're gonna push down at least 2 inches or a third of the depth. You'll hear a click in the nose.
Okay.
You're gonna let the chest fully recoil back, and
Alright.
you're gonna try to do it 100 to 120 beats per minute. Or you can go.
Staying alive.
Yes, or you can
I'm
go
about
to
to
the sound
disappoint my
of
mother
the song.
very badly.
I have asked that tracksuit does better.
We
You guys want to do it for like 5 seconds just so I can register it real quick. Just 5 seconds so I can register it real quick. Just like 2 or 3.
Dude,
Yeah,
so-
just do like, yeah. Okay.
Did you measure me?
Yeah. Are you ready?
Yours is upside down.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Okay,
That's how
ready?
they fell down.
Set. Go.
We have to do this for a minute.
For 30 seconds.
Oh.
They can get a little tired, so we'll do 30 seconds.
Yeah. I don't like odds.
You're halfway. Staying alive, staying alive.
Don't rush it.
Please stay alive. Please stay alive.
Can't sing it that loud.
4, 3, 2, 1.
You got one extra here.
So if you look at the bottom, who has 82? So you have 81, you have 82. You got a 71%, and you got a 75%. You guys are just on a win.
C's get degrees. Not for you guys. You guys have to get A's. But you guys share 1%.
Jaylee, come on.
He got 100%.
My percent was 100%.
You what?
I got 100%
You
this
got
morning. I beat Carrie Grenier.
Oh, that was good.
So what's the amount that the person lives?
Yeah, the 71, does that person live or do they die?
So you were going a little quick, which is okay, but it's better than not having CPR. Yes. Even if you don't do mouth-to-mouth, which is a very common perception, is people think, oh, to do CPR, I have to do mouth-to-mouth. You don't have to. Just doing the chest compressions can infinitely raise the probability that they will survive. So if you don't want to do mouth-to-mouth, you don't have to. You just try to help any way you can.
That's great.
We learn so many skills, and going from this class straight out of high school, we have such a big opportunity to get a job, like right off the bat. Everybody is looking for CNAs or RNs, anything in the medical career field. Especially if you go to college straight after this, the Idaho Launch Program gives you $8 grand to become a nurse or become a CNA or anything to help increase the number of people in the health field. So this is a great opportunity for Sandpoint students.
Thank you both.
And yeah, we do have
Tristan's parents.
Tristan's parents walk in.
We acknowledged him at the beginning, and this is the certificate, so.
All right, so
That was
yeah,
great.
congratulations. I know there might be a lot of questions. That's just a few of the many, many things we're doing at Sandpoint High School. It's a wonderful place to work at. If you have any questions, I think we have enough teachers that are interested. But yeah, we can't end without showing an amazing picture like this. Yeah. State champion Coach Will Love in the room. So. Any questions for Sandpoint High School?
No, this was a great way for us to get a feel for, like you said, the many things that happen there, and this is one little glimpse, but it's really exciting to see the talent that you students have, as well as the real vast array of things that are offered. And I don't know, do you guys have any questions? I do want to say that Dr. Love, it just sounds like a stage name, so if you could go public with that out there.
And he's on the podcast, so.
Yes. And a huge congratulations to these.
Yeah, I just wanted Tristan's parents to see also that,
Yes, we had an
Gerald will give you-
acknowledgement at the beginning.
Yeah.
That was great. Yes.
So congratulations.
So thank you to all of you.
Thank you guys.
And on behalf of the board, we'd like to give you guys from the pantry a set of brownies for you guys to.
What a surprise.
Thank you.
I'll just dig it in.
There you go. Okay, thanks you guys.
Oh, we
So-
leave now? Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, that part was
You
not-
might want to take the survivors. At this time, we're going to move on to our financial update with our Chief Financial Officer, Brian Wallace. Welcome. Hello.
Hello. Chairman Lewis, members of the board, Dr. Meyer. I will keep this brief on the agenda. So for the finance report, again, it's October, but we report on September, a month behind. And again, sort of the format of the report, as you can see, at least for the monthly activity on the revenue side, there really wasn't very much relative to the size of our budget. You know, a little bit of other local money came in, which is sort of interest from our savings. And the other state categorical was the lottery money. That comes in a separate payment. So that's how much we got that year. They give it in one payment. But otherwise, you know, like I said, our school district, we have like peaks and valleys of when the money comes in, but we're sort of consistent as the money goes out every month. So anyway, the revenue side, we're not there. We're tracking similar to other years. This, for our monthly activity, was our first full month of like the new payroll. And you can see the vast majority of our dollars, if you look at the monthly activity, you know, 2.25 million in salaries and 834,000 in benefits is, you know, out of that 3.5. But the vast majority is salaries and benefits. One thing we really want to look at is how does our monthly payroll track to what budget was estimated. In a perfect world, it'd be 8.33% every month. And this month for the general fund, it's not all that. We were at 8.25%. So we're so how Ms. Hall's budgeted looks like it's really good because really she drove the budget last year. So I think should be tracking okay for that, but really we monitor that each month and also all those things. But overall, at the start of the year, things are tracking fine. On the charts, again, this just sort of graphically shows how much salaries and benefits are more than anything else, and that you can see the green finally is bumping up a little bit with our salaries and benefits, and now as the month goes on, or the year goes on, you know, the green, which is our year-to-date, will start catching up to our budget. And some items like insurance, we've spent pretty much all our insurance already. If you look on the revenue side, which is the next one, again, you can see though on the revenue side we have received more of our revenue because that big payment from the state that comes in August. We have a little bit from the state. The lottery came in. We haven't received any supplemental levy dollars, but those will start coming in the next few months, and then a little bit of other local, but we're tracking fine on that. Finally, on enrollment, if we want to compare this report, very similar to really last month, you can see that we're actually down 5 kids from the month, at least on the count day that I took the count. Last year we were at 3842, so we are down from last year. I was hoping to grab a few more kids, but looks like that will probably be about where we are. We may add some there. You know, the big place, if you really want to say, well, why are we down? Well, the big one really is kindergarten. 43 of the 82 is a very small kindergarten class, and that can vary. Whether that's a pattern, who knows, but that really, you know, we'll have to see. I actually met with some of my peers last week at a workshop, and even some of the bigger districts down south experience a similar thing with a smaller kindergarten class for whatever reason. But otherwise, we're there. We're always going to have an items of note for each board report, for the finance report. So because I'm new, I thought, you know, I'm just going to sort of run a payroll summary report. This is just a canned report from our system. And so you can see, and this includes payroll of all our funds. So like our food service staff, they're paid not out of the general fund, but out of the food service fund. So this includes all that. But you can see September 22 last year, we paid 601 employees. It breaks it down by male and female. I think that's for the Department of Labor report, but I just sort of kept it in there as a interesting fact, I guess. You can see where our gross pay and benefits total was the 3.18 million. Here we actually have less employees paid. And part of that, as you know, we did go through and sort of hold the line on some hiring in some places. So that sort of reflects that. Percentages, actually, percentage-wise, we now have more males working. But, our gross pay and benefits, we did are a little higher, even though there's less people because of the pay raises and those types of things. And of course, health benefits costs are higher than they were last year. But really having it in net dollars be pretty similar to last year, a little bit higher, is good, that we're, you know, really looking at our biggest costs and trying to hold the line. And that's just a quick finance report. I'm here for any questions.
You have any questions this evening? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll just keep rolling along, and we have our superintendent report. Welcome, Dr. Meyer. Thank you.
We have a quick one tonight because the agenda, we have our annual audit. So I'm just going to do an update on our strategic plan. So this is our October superintendent report. Just a reminder, we're working on connection. Our focus this year, every student, every day. Reminder, if I know the board's seen this a lot, make sure and talk about it every week. And all the staff knows, but just anyone in the audience, this is our strategic plan. So the first one, I'm going to give an update on this address facilities, which was our #1 survey response. It includes improving school safety and addressing any deficient or unsafe building conditions. So I'd like the board to know that we did start, you gave permission for us to start an official subcommittee of the board for the Long Range Facility Planning Committee. We had our first meeting last week. You can see that we laid out, Mr. Wallace and I and Mr. Deal, the facilities director, laid out for all the volunteers what the commitment would be. It's about 18-month commitment, meeting monthly, and gave them some idea of what we'd be covering. If they're still interested and are willing to commit, they're coming to our next meeting November 1st at Northside Elementary. Kelly did a doodle poll to find out, and I wanted to try to meet in October, but just the highest number of people that could come. So we're meeting, and we're going to do the meeting, and then we're going to do a tour of the building. That has our lowest BCEF number, which was the building condition evaluation form. So we're starting there, and then the next meeting will be at Sandpoint Middle and High School, and we'll do a tour there, and along with the track, and then we'll go to Washington Elementary. So and then I'll keep you updated often. On improving the student connection, which is our next bucket, we're really going to talk about the One Trusted Adult initiative, which actually falls under school safety and student connection. I'm just putting it here today. Anyone in the public, if you're interested, the board's already seen this, as the staff has. If you're interested in what the program is for One Trusted Adult, this will be on the website tomorrow, and you can certainly link on that and look at a video if you're interested in what it means. All schools completed their baseline survey, so every single student in the entire school district, as of last Friday, Thursday, I guess, will have completed a school safety survey. Some schools just asked a few questions about this, and other had a longer, but we made sure and send that home so that parents could preview the surveys we were giving. And all schools have programs to ensure that they are having a trusted adult. By the end of the year, every single student will be able to identify one trusted adult at their school. And that's not the case with our baseline data. As you know, I talked about boosting job satisfaction, and I shared the results of our initial survey with our staff on the Welcome Back meeting. I shared that with the board. And I want you to know also that robust and relevant PD is this other deliverable for recruiting and retaining quality staff. So as you know, last Friday we had our robust and relevant PD day. And I'm going to show this quick little video in case you haven't seen it yet. Uh-oh. Content blocked.
Can you click it from over there?
I can click it on mine.
You can click it on.
Do you want me to display from mine?
Yes, please. While she's getting that up, I will let you know this right here was in our social media. We're committed to keeping students at the center of everything we do. Kristen Hawkins, our CRL, is here, Community Relations Liaison. These were the tags that she used, so just so you could see. But these were our PD topics. K-5 did our new math that you adopted, the Eureka squared. That was, and we went, Casey and Andrew and I went to every single PD thing. It was awesome. And Dr. Jansen, I think she's here as well. Oh, thank you. Sorry, obviously this is not my area of expertise, hence why I'm not the community relations liaison. So I'll just real quickly go through this piece again, just so you know. Thank you. My gosh, you're a miracle worker. So those are all the PDs that we did, and the only people that had the day off, transportation did have the day off, but everybody else had a PD piece. And they did their training back in August, is why they did that. Okay. Next one is the fostering community connection. You can see communicate effectively is at the top of the list there. I just wanted to share a positive. If you haven't listened to the podcast, Dr. Love is actually the subject of the first podcast that I did, one at a time. So check it out. You can see it there. And Coffee Clatch is connecting with our community and partnering with parents. This is coming up next week. You know I did 2 last year and we're going to do 3 this year. So this is our first one. Reiterating, I know we had this slide last month, but reiterating that we had the All Things Senior Night. Casey went, Mr. McLaughlin went, and Kelly went. They both had kids, seniors, and they went, and they said it was packed. Of course, Geraldine Meyer's in charge of it, so it was really well done. And it really highlights the launch program, which the students talked about, $8,000 coming from our state for students to launch into going to school. So we don't want anybody to miss the opportunity, so I'm kind of reiterating that throughout the loop in different ways. We put it on our website, on the homepage, just so parents, we don't want any parent to miss the opportunity. Every student, every day. Thank you. Anybody have any questions?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was great.
Except for my little mishap.
So we have an opportunity for public comment, and we have one. And I would like to welcome Geraldine Meyer. We welcome comments limited to 3 minutes, appropriate for open forum, not identify any personnel or students, but you know this. Thank you. 3 minutes. Welcome.
Yes, so I just wanted to follow up with Dr. Meyer's slides, but there's a great opportunity for the board. If you're free this Friday, we have our senior finance fair that all the seniors participate in our district, and it will happen at North Summit Church from key learning will be happening from about 9 to 11:15. Other than that, there's a lot of pre and a lot of post, but key things, activity will be happening. And we would love to have you stop by if you're around. And it's where our students get to participate in a financial simulation and get to practice adulting, which is key on their mind. So that is the 13th, this Friday. And then the other thing I just want to let you know, Sandpoint High School will be providing Idaho Application Week during October 23rd through the 27th, where we actually get to spend time with every one of our seniors in their English class. We do Apply Idaho or another college outside of the state. They just have to be able to cover it. And it's free for Idaho for our students during that this month. And then we also will be helping them build their launch accounts so that every student will have the opportunity if they choose, because they will do Apply Idaho, Apply Idaho, and then Idaho scholarships as well. So some two neat, fun activities that we'll be doing with our seniors. So stop by the high school too.
Okay, thank you. We will move straight on. There's some board information here that is not an action item, but as you saw in your packets, there's quite a bit about the ISBA resolutions for this year. There are 7 of them, which is actually only about half of the number we normally have. But each one of them has the whole presentation of it, and then statement of purpose, supporting data on who submitted it and all of that, and then the recommendation of the ISBA Executive Committee. What will happen is our November meeting is right before we leave to go down to Boise for the ISBA convention, which is the 3-day convention. So there's a few who may not be going with us, and by that meeting, you'll pass on your vote, and so that when we go down there, we have full understanding of how the 5 of us would vote on each of these. So you do have a month to kind of share that back with myself or our clerk, and then we'll make sure that when we go down there we have answered any questions you might have and know how you would weigh in on these. But do you have any questions today? They're in your packets, and it's pretty self-explanatory, but if in the next month as you look over them, questions do arise, we can talk about it in the next meeting. Some of it is you actually are physically there and you hear and you get a few things answered, so those going down will have a feel for each one of us. Okay, so we're going to go right on. We have that first reading of policy. We brought it back as a first reading at 3545. We had some great discussion on it last meeting, and Dr. Meyer was going to follow up a little bit, so I would invite,
So we had a lot of board chair and the rest of the board. We had a lot of parent feedback on this one. I shared all the comments and feedback with the board. So we met and I talked to the ASOs and the SRO, District Safety Task Force team, and we made all of these changes. So if you look at this one, you can see yellow is changes, the old are
There's a lot
strikeouts.
strikeout.
Yeah, and you can see there it was getting pretty full. So what Kelly did is you can see here, she put it into the new one. The main thing I wanted to point out to the board is if you look at the piece right here where it says questioning by law enforcement officials, this italicized and underlined, that is the new, that came up in the new parent rights law. So that sentence right there is really how we shifted the policy. And we made it so we feel like it's easier to understand. Student questioning and arrests, we have interviews by school administrators, if they're a victim or a witness, or if there's alleged suspect, are up at the top. And then questioning by law enforcement officials, here's the new law. And then we would about school-related violations, non-school related, and then when there is an arrest, and then the definitions at the bottom. So we feel like it's a lot easier, and we feel like we really took into account the parent feedback. You could see the majority of the parent feedback was, law enforcement shouldn't be interviewing my child, questioning my child without notifying me first, which, as you can see here from the law, is the case. So that's how we switched the policy around. And I think it's definitely responsive to parent concerns. Did you have any questions after you read that?
So that sentence right there covers both of the next two sections,
Yes.
whether it's school-related or non-school related.
Yes. Absolutely.
I did have a question, and am I free to go on this?
Yes, go ahead, bring them up.
The second section of that portion, the law enforcement portion, the non-school related violations, I know that sentence covers that says parents will be notified, but again, I still have the concern if it's a non-school related activity, why they're even being questioned possibly by administration. I don't think a notification.
They aren't.
This would be
This is
by
only for law enforcement.
Okay.
So the non-school related only falls under the law enforcement portion. And what I liked seeing in here and was in here is that it is when a warrant or court order authorizes immediate detainment.
Yeah.
That's the arrest part. So
The Trustee Peters, the administrators of the school are not going to be questioning students about non-school related
The
violations.
administration,
No.
because it doesn't say that there, it just says.
This is only under law
Only under
enforcement.
law enforcement.
So
That's
first,
why I was saying.
the first half is the school administrator portion.
Yeah. We tried to bullet it, but it didn't, anyway.
This,
There we go.
It's
and this-
only about law enforcement.
This-
Law enforcement.
it's the subset for law enforcement interviewing.
Yeah. I was under the impression the first two, the administration portion is school related. Are you saying that right there is school and non-school related?
No,
That covers both?
Just school related.
Just school related.
Okay.
For interviews by school administrators, it's just school related.
Okay. It's not pulling up online, so I can just stare at this for a second.
Oh,
Like, for some reason, the new one's not pulling up online.
oh, sure.
And this is just a first read, since we had so much input, we changed it back to first read.
Yeah.
So we still have time to make any changes if you want for a second. But
Yeah, this isn't one we're
I wish we
voting
could
on today.
indent this, but none of our other board policies are indented. So
Right.
I just think it's,
I think it is fairly clear, though, that the first half is the school administrator portion, the second half is law enforcement. And we'll just give you a minute to read through.
Jalen, what is your,
Yeah, it
What's
just
the crux
seems,
of what you're
it's
trying
just
to
a
do?
little confusing to me of how it's laid out, maybe. Because this doesn't specifically say school or non-school related, right?
it's because the reason why is because school administrators know that they legally will never interview a student about a non-school related unless there's a legal nexus into something that happened at school, off campus. We aren't allowed to do any interviewing of things off campus unless it has a legal nexus to the school. It started at the school, they brought it up at the school, they had follow-up words at the school. And administrators are trained that way, so they know that. They only can talk about school-related issues. Now, police officers sometimes want to talk about non-school related because they know where the students are during the school day. And so what we're saying is they aren't going to talk about it unless they have a warrant or unless the parents sometimes choose, hey, I don't want you to come to my house, I want you to go to the school and do that. That would be a parent's prerogative that way unless they had a warrant.
I don't think it's any different than any other circumstance when somebody
Yeah, it
has
happens at your workplace.
broken
if
the
you-
law or is thought to have broke, like, if the
Haven't
police
they
know where you're
pleasant
at,
work?
they're gonna come question you.
Yeah.
What is this warrant for exactly? Sorry, because I'm not sure of that.
We actually
Just
aren't
policy.
fielding questions from the group, but we are going through policy. These are policies that are on our entire,
So that that first sentence at the beginning of the entire, that first sentence, that was new, that was added, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I
Yeah.
guess that part was just throwing me off from what, and again, it's not pulling up, so
you mean the part not
that
italics?
sentence right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that was taken, I
From the
think
new
you
parent
referenced,
tax law.
that was
Okay.
kind of
Was that in
summarized.
there, was that in there when you guys,
No.
when it was sent out a
No.
day ago? Or
Yes.
did it- okay,
Yes.
it was. I just must have missed that new spot right there.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm trying to wrap my mind around it all before I have a say, I guess.
So I will say that if in reading it, you find something that
Yeah.
you're like, hey, I should have brought this up, would you reach out to our clerk?
Yep.
Because there's no hard and fast thing that says
We don't have to have a second.
second
Yeah.
reading is happening next, we can take the time to get it right, but if everybody is comfortable with it at this point, it's just the first reading. It's your opportunity to look at it before we put it into policy.
Sure.
So, are there any other questions for Dr. Meyer right now? Then we'll move on, and we'll go on to, I'll hear a motion for consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that motion passes. So we have quite a lot of board action items tonight, and the first one is alternate authorization teacher to new for Luke Childers and all. Huh?
And he's here.
He's
if you have
here.
any questions.
And I will hear a motion for this if you have had a chance to read this request. If there's any questions, who's fielding any questions?
I'm here, Luke's here, and he's going to answer questions for you.
Okay. Were there any questions?
Yeah, I definitely did. It wasn't opening, so I'm trying to reopen this.
Okay. We're having an opening
Boot it
problem.
up. I made it. I guess, so is this authorization, maybe it's for you, I don't know who it's for, is basically for the extra cost to cover the extra fee is that what we're authorizing in this?
we're actually authorizing and approving the alternate authorization teacher. That financial consideration portion is always included so that we know that what we're voting on has an impact or not.
So it's not just the financial.
It's not just the financial, we have to approve this alternate route.
Okay.
Maybe you could tell them just
2
how you-
seconds of.
Yeah,
the-
2 seconds of the context.
Of the process,
Yeah.
of where I'm at. So as I was, I have my actual master's degree in administration, and I got it through a distance learning program through the state of Arizona. Arizona requires another test, a couple tests that must be taken. Think of it as like a praxis test, but for administrators. And that test has now been taken, and the process is moving along, but it's slow. I have to have my administrator's license from the state of Arizona, then there's reciprocity through the state of Idaho as well. And so the process is in effect, it's moving along, but not fast enough for the state to approve for this year, or for this moment in time.
And so what we are hearing tonight would give the coverage until he's fully authorized, so then that one, fully approved, I should say.
There's always.
Are there other questions?
The financial part.
Yeah.
A lot of times there's nothing there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I just have never seen that, so that just jumped out at me that that was something,
It'll,
what
yeah.
we're approving, that's just included in.
And it'll always say it even if it's none after.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Are there any other questions? I will hear a motion for the alternate authorization.
I make a motion to approve the alternate
Thank you.
authorization to continue for Luke Chalmers.
I second.
It's moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. Thank you, Luke. We now have our audit report for
Take a break while we get the Google Meets.
fiscal year 23, and it'll take a minute to connect in on this one. They are going to zoom in for this audit. So, yeah, if you have a minute to get a drink of water or leave if you have.
How long do we have? Or do I not?
How much time do we have?
It might take a minute.
It might take a minute. Go for it. We'll give you a minute. Okay, sorry.
Brian?
Sorry. We never start feeling fuzzy. So this is shape. So we every meeting, we have a policy that we're reviewing, and it's on the rolling, where we're based on it. In our first reading,
Are you gonna come down on the It's Friday. The finance fair. We talked about that. Yeah. If you want to get the best like photos, 9:30 to 10:30. Yeah. I'll send you. It's yeah, Berkeley's gonna be gone. I was counting on her to do dang articles, but she's loving working with you guys, so thank you. Doing a great job. Well, if we miss this, she's having fun. She's having a great time. And then I'll send you our stuff on application week too.
I'll try it one more time, but otherwise I guess I'm just.
Back out to you kind of stuff.
One way.
We want to shut you down.
Yeah, go ahead and send that just in case. And Becky's going to try and
And actually, you would wear it.
one or the other.
But now it's just clarifying. And honestly, next meeting is
He is so professional, it's unbelievable. Brian, what do you want her to just talk?
Kelly, shout. Okay, we're ready. Hello? Hello? You guys? Okay, we're on.
Game of like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really is.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just do it on my camera.
Okay, so we're gonna come back in and we're ready for our financial statement, our audit, and we're presented here by Laura Parasida.
And CFO Wallace will,
Will facilitate this conversation and welcome. This is from Magnuson, McHugh, and Daugherty CPAs. Welcome. Hello. Okay. We're almost there. Hello? It's waiting for the host to start the meeting to just do its turn.
I'll just call her.
Okay.
Technology. It's great when it's great.
Oh, hello, this is Geraldine Lewis. I'm chair of our board, and you are, hello, is this Laura?
This is, yeah.
Welcome, you are just now on speakerphone in our meeting, and I'm gonna just get a nod from everybody that they can hear clearly.
Okay, let me stick you on speaker really quick. Hang on 1 second.
Okay, great. Sorry we didn't get to see you on Zoom, but we'll just take the vocal part.
Yeah, sorry for the technical difficulties. I haven't seen Google do that before, so I wasn't sure what it wanted me to do. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes?
Okay, great. Are you ready for me to just jump right into it?
Yes, that would be great. We have a presentation up in front of us that I'm assuming came from you.
Yes, it did. Just a little point, and I'm going to just keep it brief and give you kind of an overview of how the year went. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask or stop me anytime.
Okay, great.
So for those of you who haven't met before, my name is Laura Parasida. I'm a manager at Magnuson, McHugh, and Daugherty, and we do the annual audit for the school district. And if you go to the first slide, it said, what is an audit? And essentially, just to give you a quick overview of what we do, an audit is an examination and evaluation of the financial statements to obtain reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free from material misstatement. So what we do during the audit, we perform testing on various financial information and pull records while we're there. So just an example of some things that we look at are bank reconciliation, journal entries, invoices, purchase orders, grants, and then, applicable payroll information. So we do look at a lot of detailed information during the audit. The next slide asks, why is an audit required? And it's required by the state to have an annual audit. Additionally, when there are federal grants expended greater than $750,000, then that requires a single audit as well, which the district does have every year. It has several federal programs. And then the slide after that goes over audit results. So in the financial statements, currently we have a draft form, and so these are not included in the draft, but they will be in the final. And those are 3 reports. The first one is an opinion on the financial statements. And I'm pleased to say again this year, it's an unmodified opinion, or what is sometimes called a clean opinion. And it means that in our opinion, the financial statements are materially accurate and materially stated. And it includes all of the required disclosures and information to have an adequate presentation. Towards the back of the financial statements, there is a report on internal control over financial reporting and compliance with laws and regulations. we do not express an opinion on the effectiveness of internal controls. However, we do gather an understanding of the district's internal controls, and we perform walkthroughs and inquiries and review internal control documentation while we're there. And we did not find anything, any deficiencies that during this process or during the audit that we feel would need to be, would rise to the level of communicating with governance. And so we're pleased to report that as well. And then finally, there's a report on compliance with major federal programs. And this is related to the single audit. And during that, we test compliance with laws and regulations for the major federal programs that are identified during the year. And there were a couple of those this year. It's also detailed in the back of the financial statements right behind this report. And so in our opinion, the district was in compliance in all material respects with major federal programs in 2023. So after that, the slide is what are internal controls. These are essentially processes and procedures put in place by the district to ensure accuracy of financial information, compliance with those laws and regulations, and operational effectiveness. And then we always list some examples of those strong internal controls. Similar to previous year, the internal kind of audits or checks on student body funds, dual signatures on checks, segregation of duties. And so, again, we look at those internal controls that the district has in place while we're there. And didn't see anything to really note or add to that this year. The following slide discusses management's discussion and analysis, and in the draft financial statements, that is page 4 to 10. And this includes financial highlights as well as an overview of the financials and some of the activity that happened during the year. Also talks a little bit about the future, how it looked for the district. And this is entirely written by management. And so it just, I always encourage people to read this part. It has a lot of detail for what happened during the year, a lot of support for that financial, the information in the financial statements. On the next slide, financial highlights. We'd just like to point out the general fund balance ended this year with about 18.9 million, which is an increase of about 3.7 million from the prior year. But I will say in the past, 2-3 years, there's been a large increase of one-time federal funding, and so I believe that this is a lot of the ESSER funding that will eventually go away. Brian would know better than me, but I think probably next year would be a lot less. But just to note that it's kind of one time, and I think it's been used, my understanding is it's been used to kind of build up that general fund. Actual revenues in the general fund were about 3.6 million higher than budgeted, and actual expenditures were about 400,000 lower than budgeted. And again, as in prior years, the school district has no debt. And the following slide discusses the budget. And on this, I'll just point out that in the financial statements at page 52 to 53, there are budget to actual schedules for major governmental funds. This year that includes the general fund and the child nutrition fund. And so it's a really good way to see at a more detailed level what was budgeted for revenues and expenses during the year, what the actual results were, and the differences there. Just good information to look at. The next slide after that talks about the general fund balance again and why it's important. And really that's because, like we mentioned, I mentioned with the federal revenues just a minute ago, not all revenues are consistent month to month, and so it really protects the district from unnecessary borrowing, and it helps to kind of ensure that future stability. The following slide, we include this every year that the GFOA recommends a minimum no less than 1 to 2 months of regular general fund operating expenditures. I believe the district was well over this last year, and with the increase in fund balance, it would be again this year as well. And then the following two slides are both chart views. One is a comparison year over year, going back to 2016 of the general fund balance, and we can see it's steadily increasing with really large increases between 2021 and 2023. Again, I think that really has some to do with the COVID money and the ESSER one-time federal money. And right after that are the general fund revenues and expenditures, which have steadily increased year over year, but really trending together. There's a lot of consistency between the two on this page. And after that is questions, but the only other thing I would note that was a major change this year for the district was the required adoption of a new governmental accounting standard, GASB 96. This is for subscription IT arrangements, and essentially these are long-term agreements for intangible subscription assets. So a lot of software type agreements that extend beyond a year. And the standard now requires those to be reported on the balance sheet as both an asset and a liability. So really minimal effect to the income statement, but a large change on the balance sheet, and it's reported, the long-term portion of those agreements is now reported as essentially long-term debt. And this is really similar to the required implementation of leases last year that we probably talked about, but the district doesn't have any leases, so it wasn't overall applicable. This year, there were a couple of subscription IT arrangements identified though, and so when you look at the balance sheet, those will be new items that have never been on there before. But that was the only really big change this year, and again, just was required. And that's mostly what I had to go over. Wanted to keep it short for you guys, but does anybody have any questions for me?
I'm looking around the room here at the trustees. I don't see any questions. And as questions occur to us, it's possible that we can certainly run them past our CFO, Brian Wallace, to see if he can answer anything first, if we have questions on the finer details.
Yes, absolutely. Feel free to reach out to us at any time if you have any questions for us from the audit perspective.
It's always encouraging to get a clean audit, and so we appreciate that, and appreciate all the work that Brian and his team have done in facilitating this audit process. So, thank you.
As well, yes, it was great working with. We work a lot with Brian and Valerie, and they're both wonderful to work with, so we appreciate that.
Great.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the trustees? Well, I'm going to hand the phone back to Dr. Meyer, and thank you very much, Laura.
Well, have a great night.
You too. Anything else you need to add to that?
No, but if the board does have any questions, if they, depending on how depth you go into that audit report or wanted any financial information, the door is always open, and myself and my team's available. I did, to acknowledge to the board, since I sort of came in, for me, this is actually was a hard audit because I was looking at data that I really wasn't a part of.
Right.
And so I really got help. My treasurer, Valerie, was invaluable, and accounts payable, payroll, but also even at the building level, they do look pretty hard at the school activity accounts at select buildings, and there's a lot of information. And of course, when they're looking at that, that's right when school's starting up, so it's not, the timing's never good for our building folks who really don't want to be bothered. So a big thank you to everybody who's involved, because it is a process.
Yeah, it is. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Brian.
We're going to keep moving on. We have the
Point of reference, this is an action item.
This is an action item. So I will, it's a motion to approve the external audit report.
I make a motion to approve the external audit report for fiscal year 2023 as presented by Magnuson, McHugh and Company.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. Thank you for that. We'll move on to the continuous improvement plan, the CIP, which is something that we approve every year. So welcome, Andra Murray, our Director of Education.
Thanks. On behalf of the district leadership team, we are just here seeking your approval of the continuous improvement plan. To note, the last 2 years we received a narrative exemption because we didn't have significant changes to our strategic plan. The narrative should look very familiar in your packet because you helped support the community input process and worked through last spring the board approved strategic plan. So the narrative is just a short recounting of that and our 4 focus areas of facilities, student connection, quality staff, and community connections. The other piece in this state required template is they ask us for a sampling of student growth metrics. So these are required to be filled in goals for our IRI, our Idaho Reading Indicator, and our ISAT, our Student Achievement State Test. And again, the state chooses just a few grade levels to ask us to set targets. We do that at the district level and the building level for all of our grade levels. We use a cohort model, so we typically look at where that grade level exited in spring, and we want to project that forward the next school year. Most of that will look familiar, and we love to come back mid-year and show you our trajectory. And then I just wanted to highlight a few of the strategies that should also sound familiar, but we're really excited to support that IRI through primary reading growth. Our ECRI, that foundational skills curriculum, we did some fall training again to really boost those K2 readers. We highlighted our work around the new dyslexia legislation, making sure we listen to all kids read multiple times a year. We highlighted also PLCs, our staff collaboration, and that robust professional development to how we support growth for all kids, every student, every day. So happy to take questions. Generally, this probably looks familiar, and this is again a state required document, but we do post this on our website every year.
Questions from anyone? So as we look at this, what you'll see is every year we're working toward higher performance targets every year. So even when some of those still look low, it's because every year there's a gain being made.
Correct. And I wish that, we've discussed this, we wish we could change the state's template, but it will ask you the goal for last year versus the goal this year. But we set the goal, for example, at 7th grade by looking at 6th graders last year, projecting them forward as 7th graders. So some of the metrics can almost look like we're aiming backwards because it's a new cohort of students.
Right.
So we follow every grade level forward each year. Thank you for that.
Which is actually a smarter way to set your goals.
And it's actually very helpful for us to be able to look and go, okay, last year's 4th graders for this year's 5th graders. So it makes no sense to do it the other way.
And when her and Casey present, when they get to the midwinter, I don't know if you remember last year, they will show you that cohort model. So it's easier for the board, I think, to see that when they present.
Right. Are there questions tonight on this continuous improvement plan? This is something that goes to the state. If there's not, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the continuous improvement plan as presented.
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you for your support of our students.
Absolutely. So we have at this stage 4 revised policies that are here for second reading and 1 delete. And can you remind me for delete, do we make a motion to delete policy?
But you do not make a motion for the procedures, which I've noted in your motion area on the board book.
Right. So there's just a
and if so for the first one, 3050, all the new updates are in green, as the board discussed at last meeting.
Board Chair, Mr. McLaughlin is here to answer. He did the majority of the work on this piece, and so he's here to answer questions if the board has any. And he did look at all the parent input as well.
So this first one is policy 3050, attendance requirements. Oh yeah, it's not just gonna do it up.
I had a couple questions. We were waiting for it.
It wasn't loading, but now it's loading.
years was having the same problem as mine, probably.
Okay, so let me hear a motion and then I'll discussion.
The motion for adoption. Okay. I'd like to make a motion to adopt the revision to policy 3050, attendance requirements.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Discussion.
In that list of, what is it?
If you go down.
Absences,
Absence
7 days,
recorded
6,
went up,
yeah.
right, there's 6 of them.
I just had a couple of constituents that reached out to me, maybe in addition to the things they needed filled out or whatever, but was there ever anything on the paperwork turned back in that would include like family farms or family businesses that are in need of students? I know that's a big.
And I think what we did, I think we addressed that by striking this. What we read more than anything was that people wanted to be able to say, I'm excusing my child for whether it's farming or whether it's a day out or whatever it is. They want to be able to excuse their child without having that written in there as a policy to have a medical professional or medical excuse. And so I think that covered all that. The difference would be then after that 10 days, right, or the excessive absences, that's when a further conversation would happen with that family. So what we did there is we just struck that piece right there to say, okay, you know what, not everything has to be verified by a medical professional. So,
And we have that advanced excused
yes.
absence, and they could say, we're gonna farm for this next week, and we need our students to be with us for this one period. They do an advanced excused absence, that's the new language in the new law, and that way the teachers know, the principal knows, and it's pre-planned. So that we have.
Reality is how it happens. Like if you have something that you know is coming up,
Yeah.
like harvest, which
It's kind of not very school-ish anyway. Well,
It's not.
Depends on what you're.
it's not exactly,
Totally
we're
right.
not exactly surrounded by grain fields either.
No, I just was also thinking, what if it's like an emergency type of situation on a farm that's not advanced? Is that still, you think, covered well enough?
Yes, I think that if somebody's going to excuse their children and they can't give us the 72 hours, what it asks for is 72 hours in advance.
2 days.
So that, and the reason why is so that we can get work or whatever they need ready. The reality is if they have, right, if they work with the principal and if they talk to them about, we've got this coming up immediately, we need to do this.
Yeah.
That would certainly be considered.
I also think that it happens more often than we probably know, and they're almost always
Resolved at school
like,
level.
hey, so and so just broke his leg at Schweitzer. Guess what? He's going to be gone for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It happens quickly with no advance notice, and we work our way through it.
And the new self-directed learning plan law that the legislature passed a couple of sessions ago, that actually allows that you can change somebody's attendance and or graduation requirements based on a self-directed learning plan. And remember, we are piloting that at Clark Brook this year, and we have a couple of students at Sandpoint High School that have done that as well, and that's a law. So it lets you individualize education, education for all students.
So if you did have somebody who was farming and they worked it out with their teachers and worked it out with the school to do some of their science through that farming, they could absolutely do that. So.
Or an elective, FFA credit or agriculture or, it could be another credit even for that work that they're doing there. So,
Are there any other discussion on this one? Okay, so I will entertain a motion for.
There's motions.
A motion's on the table. We finished discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. Thank you for reminding me. So the next are the procedures, and we will not do those, but we will hear a motion to delete. We're looking now at policy 3055 truancy, which got included into the previous policy.
I make a motion to delete board policy 355.
A second.
It's moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. The next one is a procedure, and we've seen it. There is not a motion needed for that one, but it is on here. And the last one is policy 5290. If we go to that one. And again, in green there, that was the latest version. If there
Do we need a
are,
motion?
yep, we need a motion on that one.
I make a motion to adopt the revisions to Board Policy 5290, political activity, staff participation.
It's moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. Thank you. That is the end of our action items, and we have an opportunity for administrator announcements. Anyone from district office? And that,
Dr. Jansen.
Dr. Jansen, did you have any announcements? Superintendent, do you have any announcements?
I just want to say happy birthday to Trustee Lonnie Williams.
We're sorry you lost.
And how wonderful
Sorry
it is
you
that he is on the opening day of rifle season for elk hunting, so I'm sure our attendance was down today.
Yeah.
Okay, well, with that, thank you, and meeting adjourned.
Yes.